Can you reply something about it? So to get the Classflow, you just click on that Classflow button.
You can. I went to classflow.com.
You what?
I went to classflow.com.
Okay.
But I will have you.
He was about to find his face.
You tripped over these cords like 5 times.
That's why I wouldn't have started till they left the room. But anyway, welcome back. We are going to spend some time talking about Classflow, what it can do, why we use it, all of those great things. We've talked a little bit about embedding YouTube videos, one of the things that I do. This is what you will see when you log in. I haven't asked you to log in. I haven't really told you how to log in so that we can all go through this together for a minute or two, and then I will let you loose and make sure that you can get logged in. So from this home screen, I can do a number of things. I can just kind of instantly get started. I can create lessons. That's where I would start embedding things like YouTube and things from Learn 360. I love creating activities, especially for the younger ones, because they're more focused ways to keep students engaged with content. And they're super, super easy. So I do a lot of that. There also is the marketplace. The marketplace being a place that other teachers, Promethean, other publishers have shared content with you. So there is 3D content, there's some science and math simulations from PhET. So there's one simulation here that's called Making Tens. So the kids like combine papers, and when they get to 10, they all group together into a big 10 and they can pull them apart. It's a lot of fun. There's a great one on weight and balance, things like that. So some fun simulations, lots of things we can see here and do examples that we can find of things other people have done. So over here on this left-hand side, I can limit my search based on what I want to find. I can also type in a keyword up at the top. So just for example's sake, we'll kind of look at activities for just a minute. So activities, there are 10 templates of activities. So everything from word searches to crossword puzzles, matching, flashcards, sorting, all kinds of great activities. This one's fun. I love this activity. So I can either make myself a copy of this and modify, which I don't always suggest with activities because it's faster to create your own with the things that you know you want. But I can also just use this with my class. So we can talk more about classes too. Open class is the easiest way to get started. Here we go, word search. Let's play. So all of the words go left to right or top to bottom. They don't go backwards, they don't go diagonal.
So I see an open class connect your students box there.
Yep.
So is that my students can log into this and they can do it from the computer?
So any device, so from an iPad or a Chromebook, a phone, your computer. So right now, if you go to classflow.com, let's move that up. /student. This is the simplest way to get students connected. It's going to ask for a class code. That's the code you were seeing up in the corner. My class code is QQ66S as in Sam or student. That's always my class code. It doesn't change. So that's something that you can have students already have typed in and bookmark the site after they type that in, and then they wouldn't have to type in that class code. After that class code, it's going to ask you for your name. So you can have students just type in their first initial, their first and their last initial, a random string of numbers.
New background.
So we could actually log into it and you have.
Yeah,
Yeah. Should I do that now?
please.
So is this what any kind of class are seeing, is just a bunch of pictures, or is that something you select for what?
So as you get started, just logged in, if I haven't sent you anything, the default is
Those pretty
a
backgrounds?
pretty background. There's like 4 of them.
I'm loving the pictures.
Yes.
I feel like I'm looking at my Firefox when I.
Your screensaver, yeah.
Yes, it just does all those pretty pictures.
Yeah, so it has about 4 of them. They just cycle through if I haven't sent you anything otherwise, just to kind of make sure you know that you're connected. So let's see, can we find any of these words? Here's Keen. Do you want to come find it? No, I just found about.
See about.
There's one right above it, bring.
Bring the heart.
Who's done, the third row. Third row right below the W.
Cool.
I see better.
I see ink, but it's drink.
What did we forget? Oh, 8.
Right
Oh,
there.
right here. So, good job. And it tells us how many we got wrong, how many we got right, and how long it took us. So we can do this up here as a small group, as a partner, or with this arrow, it's an arrow out. So I can send this to everyone or to specific kids. So right now I'll just send that to everyone. So now you, on your device, have this. So even if all you have is connected is 5 devices because it's a small group activity, you could have 5 devices and have kids playing in that center on those 5 devices. What do you notice about your word search?
It's a little bit different
It's-
than yours.
It's different. The words move around. So it's better than going down to the copier and making 27 pieces of paper that are all exactly the same. So every time you finish and hit play again, it's going to change it up.
Now we're all doing the word search.
And how long did it take me to get all of you engaged in a word search?
Not very long, because I'm done.
Less time than it would have taken me to pass out everyone's paper and make sure everyone had a pencil or a crayon or whatever else we were doing word searches with. And I love that with Classflow, I always have the flexibility of doing something else.
So are these the same words? Look at the same words over.
It depends on how you set it up. So you can tell it, you can give it a list of up to 15 words, and you can have it show the kids as many as you choose. So they could get only 7 of the 15. And then the next time they'll get a different group of 7. Mm-hmm. So what do you have now?
A blank white.
Just a blank white screen. So anything that I now write up here on this blank white screen, I can decide I'm going to send out to you.
So with this, do you have to have it done here and then push it out, or can it be like as you're working, it'll show up here?
So it only shows up when I push it.
Okay.
So now I can add curly hair, and you're not going to see that until I decide that Angel and Amy are going to get curly hair on their smiley face. So anytime it's one way. It's partially to pay respect to digital bandwidth in a classroom. It's not live because that takes a ton of bandwidth and connections and things drop then, and so it's only going to push when I tell it to.
So if I have, say my partner teacher does not have a Promethean board, she can still use Classflow and push it out to the iPad.
Absolutely. So we can push things out. I can also ask you questions. So I can say yes or no, do you like this drawing? So now all of you have the opportunity, will momentarily, The tech guys always say the bandwidth is amazing.
Not in here. It kicks me out because we're the least important. Well, we piggyback off either Madeline E or More Shot. We don't have our own internet here. So it really depends on which ones you're closest to, which one's the stronger one.
Which one has more load at the moment, probably?
Yes.
So do you have the capability to then go and look at the answers later? Oh, right there. I want to see submit.
Yes, so make sure you hit submit, and then I can see exactly who said what. If I save this, when I exit, I save all the data and I can go back and look at it. If I don't save it, then I threw away all my data.
Because I'm just thinking like an exit ticket would be nice to like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I ask questions, I have 8 different options of the type of question I'm asking. So we did yes, no, true or false. This is fine art. This, true or false, this belongs in a museum. And again, we're having great fun.
Is there a way for you to set up these questions before?
Sure.
Or just because you, like, in like a slide, that on
Yeah.
the slide we're going to ask this question?
You can just type it in, like true or false. Do you agree or disagree? You can put whatever you want on slides ahead of time, just like in Keynote or PowerPoint or slides. You can put anything you want on your slides ahead of time. The nice thing is with Classflow is I don't have to put things on my slides ahead of time. I can if I want, but I don't necessarily need to. Yeah, so this is a lot about that formative assessment and just engagement. So let's go back again. So true, false, yes, no, multiple choice, fairly understandable. Likert scale. I agree that this is a piece of art that I would put on my wall at home. So scale often, are you ready for the tests next week? You're confident that you got your homework done or your project's going to be done. I agree that my group worked well together. Those things that I used to do thumbs up, thumbs down scales for, often now I can do in Classflow, and we can be more anonymous about it. So kids are more likely to be honest when they're not like thumb up and everyone's eyes just go to everyone else instantly. So we can grab that scale. And it's a great way just to hear from everyone. So it's not that one student that always raises their hand or the one student in the back that never raises their hand. Right now I can see that I have 3 responses remaining, and I can choose to wait for those 3 students to hit submit before we move on.
If you're doing like a multiple choice type of question, you're asking that, does it have to be where you can show that, like the answers? Because like you'll have those kids that wait till the very last possible moment so that they can't see everyone else's responses. Can you take that away?
So multiple choice, A through E. So you can pick the most likely letter.
Is this something we would add to Clever? We could add to Clever so the kids can just push on that link and it takes them to that.
I'm not sure. I can take
Is Classflow an app?
No.
You can
It's
also,
on the web.
You can do a link
you
though.
can do link from Clever.
It's all,
Yes.
it's all really good, but if I can do a link on Clever,
I
can
imagine
have
you
kids
probably do a
trying
link
to
on
log into
Clever,
that.
but then my
Yes.
thing is, do you need it to be a link on Clever if they're not actually logging in?
But they have to.
Need, no. The access to the site. So you could bookmark, just like you were bookmarking 360, you could bookmark. So here when I click open class, you can bookmark this. It already has that class code typed in, and then all they would have to do is type their name in.
So my only thinking is also if you have have a music teacher using this and I'm using this, I have two different logins. Right? I would have two different.
So no, just the.
No, the teacher itself would log in, but the students don't ever log in, they just need that code.
Right, so when they, just like you did, that you typed your name in, they're gonna go to this website, which could be Bookmarked and Clever, and then type their name in.
So we have to create our own.
I guess in my
account,
brain,
Classflow
I
to
would
get
just-
our own.
Yes, but we'll do that.
So they have to
Like,
click
so
on
on
the-
the-
Yeah.
Or an app, and, you know, any of that kind of stuff. I don't know, like if on the iPad, since a lot of times with Clever, you have to have like the app itself as well. If that,
It
well,
goes
it's
right
like-
after the link.
Okay.
It has their, on my, so I have my page where I'm saving
Mhm.
the buttons that are, the links that I want them to go to, because I have extra math, I did 360, learn 360,
Okay.
right reader and that on there.
Mhm.
So they'll just click on the button. So for extra math, each student has their own, they click on the extra math button on their iPad and it takes them directly to their account.
Perfect.
So they don't have to log in anymore, like they
Okay.
had.
I wasn't sure because like, you know, with iReady or a lot of the curriculum stuff, you have to have the app itself on the iPad as well as Clever because it just switches.
I'm just thinking that no matter what, every time I have to put in that number, right?
Not if what is in their Clever link is this, because it has the number at the
That's
end.
what I'm saying is you would have to have multiple Clever links for each teacher that uses it.
Right, but if you can add a link to your own Clever,
So every teacher has their own page.
So when I use it, when they use it
They're
in my
all
class, they'll,
I guess I.
because my links are under my page, so like my kids go to Amy Bear's, they won't see her stuff because it's on my Salari page.
It's just where the homeroom teacher is. That. So then the other teachers are home, you know, they're a specialist, they call them to ask them to put on that. I'm not sure, we're still trying to work on it.
yeah, figure that out. So if you would choose a letter and hit submit for me, the best letter, the most likely letter. So the question was, can I hide those responses so that they're not being influenced by each other? So I now see 0 remaining. So I can hit stop. All of those responses are on the next card. So here are all those responses. So they came in, they got collated, they were there. I just chose to be back on that other card while that happened.
Perfect, because, you know, like when they're like, are you doing okay? And then, you know, you're still waiting to see if everyone else is okay before you say, no, I'm not okay.
Right.
Help me get a little more honest.
Right, so 2 options. I can go backwards a page, or I can just move this down so I don't see that bubble.
Can they add text to their responses? Like I think this is because, or I know this is the answer because.
So you want, we'll start with this, 1 word that describes this image. So word seed, this word seed is like brainstorming. So you can add as many words as you want. I want you to start with 1 word. Then if another word comes to mind, then you could add that word. So 1 word at a time, I want you to add. So here's a place where you could justify. There is an option for text. The difference between text and word seed, everyone gets 1 bubble with text. Word seed, you get as many bubbles as you want to send things in. So that you know that kid who has 7 answers to every question. That we could do word seed.
Yeah. To integrate this and use all the buttons on it.
Happy, silly, funny.
Now, can I upload an image to this? I have a picture I want them to.
You just want everything.
Yeah.
Oh, here, let me hit stop. So, word seed number is forcing you to give me a number. Creative will let you give me anything you want. You can write, you can draw, you can add a picture, you can take a picture. So if they've built something,
Potentially do my math problem and show my work.
absolutely. Especially if you have an iPad. It gets a little harder if you don't have touchscreen Chromebooks to physically show work. Sometimes I have students take pictures of their work with the camera on their device, so they. Right, so they've used a pencil and paper to do the work, and they take a picture of it. It's not a super high quality image if you take a picture.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when Classflow first came out, one of my good friends was teaching first grade, and she wanted to use this, and she wanted me to help her, and I was like, I'm not going to help you. I'll come in and I'll be there, but I want you to see if you can figure it out. By the next week, she was completely paperless in math. They didn't use a single piece of paper during math in first grade. They used blocks, they built things, they moved things around, they showed her what they wanted, they answered questions, and she didn't have any papers anymore. And she had, what did she have in that room? She had 4 Chromebooks, she had 5 iPads, she had 4 computers in the back of the room. It was just this hodgepodge of random devices, and the kids loved it. They just made it work. So, absolutely, show your work, draw your pictures, take a picture with the camera on your device. So if they build with blocks,
I'm not the
What about, so like, because we have quite a few of the, kids that are that are ELs, can we have them record their voice? If you're asking them, to say a word the right way, can you do the recording of that?
so with this kind of response, it's only images. So it's not video or audio files, it's just images. Partly because of that size and like how it's kind of sort of storing data. And part of it's the simplicity, like we wanted to keep it pretty simple for kids to do. So let's see, 4 plus 6.
Toys for it, they could draw a picture.
Exactly, yeah. Listen to it and then draw it out.
Mm-hmm.
So you give them like this says my word on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you?
So what do you want on top of it?
Clicked on one of the things to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like let's say I want to give them a sentence then that I then want them to like fill in the blank. You just clicked outside of it.
So I double tapped. I'm trying to find a blank. So do you want them to well, we can do this a couple ways. We'll start with text. So what word goes on the blank?
I mean, this allows them to then not have to write a whole sentence.
I changed it. I was able to change the sentence. Oh, wait, whatever.
Yeah, you probably made it more to us.
I was able to change the sentence
That you sent out.
that you sent out.
You can make changes, but that's not what that wasn't what you were gonna send back to me. It is now though. So I sent you the sentence. Now you can change the sentence, add to it. I would like you to make it a complete sentence. There are a couple things missing. I like the picture. So this way it gives them a little more flexibility to draw the picture or add a word or, right, or find a picture, take a picture.
Or type it. I mean, I like that there's multiple. It's not just draw. It's like you don't have to write it. You can type it out.
Right. So here's someone who found a shape. So we can be as free as we want to be, or as explicit, I just want you to give me a number. 4 plus 6 equals what? Don't want you to type TEN. I want you to give me the digits. Because you know there'd be one kid that would write TEN instead of typing the number 10.
And knowing everything else, they ask for a word for.
Yeah. Right? So there's lots of opportunities, and it can start with as much work as you want it to. So you could have typed this out ahead of time, or you could get to a point where you're like, oh, like we need a fill in the blank. I need to give them more structure. Or, hey, we don't need as much structure. I'm just going to have them write the whole sentence, and we're going to see where we're at. You know, so you have kind of as much flexibility either direction as you want to. Does that make sense?
So since this is a web-based thing, I have to only do it in Chrome. There's no way for me to make a shortcut of it in my apps.
You can on the wheel. Currently, making a shortcut to your locker is broken.
Okay.
I need to actually write that down and put that on support and be like, why did you break this? I'm sure they didn't mean to break it.
So as
But
long as we have the wheel, we can create that shortcut to this
Right.
Classflow.
the other option is I can shortcut right. I mean, like that just makes it a bookmark, and then I can find it in my bookmarks.
Okay.
So it's not on my home screen, but
But
it's
easier just instead of me typing it.
yes, instead of typing it in over and over. So all of this data, 3 lines right here, I can say exit, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to save those changes? If I save or save as, it's going to save all that data with all the kids' names and all of that kind of stuff. If I don't save, then I'm going to just throw it all away, which nothing wrong with that necessarily. So all of that started because of a 3rd grade word search. It didn't have to start that way. It just as easily could have started right here with Instant Whiteboard. So that Instant Whiteboard will take me to that exact same place, just with a white card to start and the ability to ask questions, send content. So all of those same tools that we talked about earlier, the ruler, compass, things like that, the pen, the highlighter, text, all of those things happen here as well. Revealer.
Yeah.
There is.
If you have a question, reveal the answer below or image.
So like, or steps, you have 6 steps and you can cover all the steps up and then show them one at a time. It's kind of magical. I often use shapes to cover things up because they're fun, but also because I have kind of more control over how much I cover up. So they know instead of having just step 1 showing, they can see we have 6 steps to go through. They just can't tell what the steps are. So I like giving students a little more knowledge so they can help themselves pay attention and go, okay, I have 6 to get through. I'll be okay. So lots of options here within that ability to do that polling, that sending, all of that, just on the fly. So easy ways to get started. You can get started by finding things in the marketplace. You can get started by just your whiteboard, or you can start by creating activities. So lots of ways to get started. Questions from a student perspective. We talked a lot about kind of getting connected and how that might happen. We'll kind of look a little more into the Clever. Like you definitely can add that link to your teacher Clever page. A specialist will have to figure that out. They may need to just type in their code. But
So the link to this /student.
Yeah.
And then they would just have to put that code.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yep, and it's a 6-digit code. It's all capitals. So,
Oh, this is really fun. This is the
have the login flow on the side of the Promethean?
Yeah. No,
No?
Mm-mm.
I
no,
wrote
that's
that down.
active.
That's Active Inspire. So this is Classflow, and I'll get you into your teacher account here in just a minute as soon as we've kind of answered student questions, because we're going to switch you from being a student to being a teacher. So does that make sense? So there's other opportunities here. You can create classes. Each class can have its own code. You can go crazy with this if you want to, but you don't need to. So right now, especially, start simple. Just use it.
So when you're creating lessons and, doing that kind of thing, can you embed like a presentation, like a PowerPoint, that kind of stuff in here?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can follow along with the slides and then have like those cards that make sure that they're following along. You can do that kind of stuff.
So in a lesson, I can put my entire slideshow on one card, or I can put my slideshow so each slide goes on a different card, and we can kind of move through it together. So I decide which way I want that to happen.
Is this something that you have to do as a class, or can I send you to Classflow and say, go do this? Or this group's gonna do this, now this group maybe is with me, or does it all have to be when we're all in whole group?
So you wouldn't have to do it all in whole group time, especially things like activities. You could send that out, and as soon as they connect, they will get that activity. If I was doing, especially with younger ones, if I was doing centers, I would have the 4 or 5 devices connected already and just have them go do the activity and hit play again, and then that's ready for the next group. So that doesn't take anything. Once you send it from here, you ignore this, they ignore this, they just play the activity and hit play again. So there's a lot less that way. I can do it whole group, and we can do a whole lesson with, initial tasks and brainstorming and introduction of language and videos embedded and all that kind of stuff. I can do that all up here too. Or I can do some things that are more self-directed for them on their devices. For sure. So, you guys ready to log in as a teacher? So let me log out. So if you go to classflow.com, and up in the corner it will say login. And then you're going to log in as a teacher. And there's a fancy button if you scroll down that says sign in with Google. So you don't need a new username and password. You don't need any codes or anything. You can just choose the sign in with Google. And that will get you in. So I think a great place to start is to start in the marketplace and spend some time in the marketplace. Just kind of looking around, seeing what's there, seeing what other teachers have created, what content's there that you might use. It's 10 to 2 right now, so let's still do till 2:15. Kind of spend some time in the marketplace, take a break. It's after lunch. And then we'll kind of talk about where else we want to go within Classflow.